So now we want to talk a little bit about KPIs, the things that you use in your center to measure performance, and how has that changed? Because you've all been in the business for quite some time, and have things changed?
If I could start with the second question first, how things have changed. When I first became a call center manager, that was how you received recognition, was to top off your KPIs, was to be able to show your boss that you were above average, you were responsible, you were able to hit those KPIs day in and day out and create a product around it. And that's great, and especially when you're running a third-party call center, those things are necessary. But for a first-party call center, once I gained access of the controls for more of the training mechanism, those benchmarks became more organic, meaning the culture that we provided, the training that we provided, we were reaching those KPIs organically, so there was no stretch to get there. What we noticed then thereafter was there was new KPIs to be measured. The new KPIs to be measured specifically for my industry are going to be things like speed to lead. It's a very competitive market. So within 30 seconds or less, once we get acknowledgement that the customer is waiting for an application or to be worked, we have a 30-second goal in-house to make sure that we're reaching base with that customer. If we don't, there's a chance that somebody else would or could. So that's very important. And unfortunately, in this industry, I've consulted for about 8 other companies, specifically in this corridor. They're not doing things at real time. So what happens is they're buying new leads, and then all of a sudden they're getting to work that new lead within 5 to 10, 15 minutes down the road, and they're missing out their opportunity. So that was one of the major things that I took away. Another, we got away from call handle and we got away from talk time. One thing I would like to say is, if you have a sick cat and you're on the phone with a customer, you shouldn't be telling the customer about your sick cat. But if your customer has a sick cat, you shouldn't be asking him, well, is there anything else I can help you with today? I mean, you have to engage in that a little bit. You have to engage in the idea that you want to suffice the customer at ease. We're dealing with people's financial information, their social securities. This is something that people want a little bit of rapport around, and of respect and responsibility. So speed to lead. One thing that I would say KPI that's oftentimes not referred to is attendance. The way I bake my pie is with all ingredients. If I don't have everybody there, I don't have all my ingredients. My speed to lead can be negatively impacted, and I have a 0-second hold time. So if we were to call the call center right now, we'll have an English-speaking 0-second hold time immediately. I pride myself on that. I want to make sure that we have a business that harnesses those models so that people aren't festering on hold. So attendance is very important to us. The last thing I would say, and probably the most important thing that we measure, is the quality of the interaction between the customer service representative and the customer on the phone. Because I'll take the extra 3 to 5 minute phone call if it meant that the quality of the interaction was superior than that of our competition. As I mentioned earlier, 90% of our customers are coming back, and that is for these very reasons. It's for the reasons that we are not just telling the customer, hey, do you want to take a $1,000 loan instead of the $500 you're requesting? We're asking the customer, hey, what's your purpose for the $500 loan? And perhaps they only need $300. We don't incentivize, we don't bonus in my call center, so there's no real reason for me to have a KPI that overshadows the quality of the engagement with the customer. So I would say the most important thing for me is the quality. We want to be able to bring that exceptional customer service on a daily basis, and the only way we can do that is if I have quality members bringing out that quality message to the rest of the...
So I've been in the call center industry for a really long time, and 19 years with Alliance Data. This is my 4th call center, and I will tell you that when I started, everything was all about productivity and AHT. Everything was AHT. And so that gave you some unintended consequences, like people hanging up on customers because it would shorten their AHT. So I will tell you, in today's world, we really focus on the customer experience, and that's measured through customer feedback. Also, we're introducing a new tool, Nexidia from Nice Analytics, which is going to give us a sentiment score. The benefit to that is you're going to be able to get all of your calls measured versus just those that customers decide to give you feedback. Right now, in addition to, it's interesting that you talked about attendance, because we just added that as a measure for our associate ranking. So it's about the customer experience, it's about their attendance, and then it's also about call efficiency. So that's really focusing on the non-productive time with cardholders. So kind of your after-call work time or even your hold time. But talk time is not measured at all. So that's kind of like an associate boon. But those are the things that I think are the most significant differences between the old world and today's world.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're fairly similar, I think, philosophy-wise, across the two previous answers here. I've been around so long where we used to sometimes celebrate making our KPIs, answering the phone on time, and then we finally woke up about 10 years ago and say, duh, everybody else is doing that. How you differentiating yourself to your customer, right? And we would throw parties because we answered the phone in less than 30 seconds and all this stuff. And, pretty naive perspective. And so as we've kind of pivoted and gone into Net Promoter Score and measuring the success of our value prop to our customer by their voice, it's changed our dynamic a lot. We removed AHT. We've never been a big AHT tracker in a specialty pharmacy because of what was said here is we don't want to get a cancer patient off the phone. So we use, and some people call it a different thing, it depends on what phone system, occupancy or utilization. And so you could be literally on one call. Our goal is 85% a day. You could take one call for 405 minutes a day and you would make goal because you would be occupied for 85%. And what counts for our occupancy is time speaking on the phone or waiting and available. Everything else counts against you, so I don't have to do any kind of IEX management where you're going to a meeting and stuff like this. I got rid of all that whole team that did all of the exceptions and all that stuff, and we put them on the phone. It was just in a very competitive industry, and we couldn't afford to kind of track that. And so that actually has resonated really well with our employee base because it's more employee friendly as well, because you're not beating them up over productivity. And in our world, it sends the wrong message because we're helping people be well, be faster. It just doesn't resonate that way. And then lastly, the whole pivot, we pivoted the last year to Net Promoter Score, both from a UES survey at the end of the call, which is more transactional for that one transactional. Can you be nice for one transaction? And then we have an NPS score from our marketing survey that, we survey 500 members a month that tells us how we're doing overall. And both of those have gone up almost 10 basis points this last year, just with a change of focus of letting our employees, we call them patient care coordinators, know that's important. And we play it up a little. We don't want to be a Kodak. We don't want to be a GE. We don't want to be irrelevant. But if you don't take care of your customers, we used to measure our success wrong. Now it's about our customers, and then it gives me more energy to go to work. Similar to what Brian is saying, is we want to do it right, as opposed to kind of just getting it done.
Thank you. Sean, there was something you and I discussed when we were planning this session, and I just thought he had a brilliant answer, because you think of organizations, large organizations, and they have big budgets, right? Many of us have small centers, and how do you achieve the things that the big centers do, because we have little budgets. And one of them was how you measure first call resolution. And it was pretty inexpensive to implement, and I thought just brilliant.
Yeah, it's probably cheating because I didn't want to pay our telephony vendor for it, but we actually do it in two ways. We actually, if you authenticate through our IVR, we have analytics that will let us know if you've called us more than 3 times in the last 10 days, and we send you to a different team. We send you to a tier 2 team that has different tools. And in this day and age, I broke the rule, and I've given inbound agents a direct dial line with a voicemail, so that they don't have to call back and tell Vince. Vince doesn't have to tell a story 3 times, so that then once they identified as a repeat caller, which is the inverse of first call resolution. But the way our members, even if they don't authenticate, is we have a question in our IVR is it's as simple as, have you called about this issue before? And people answer that question one way. Sure, some of them might say, yeah, if I say yes, they're going to help me better or something like that. But in general speak, we've been able to kind of glean that we're doing about an 80% first call resolution without buying a package or anything. And that's our true north now. So it doesn't matter what it is, because that's our barometer that we're measuring our success off of going forward. Big success of getting reduced escalations, senior escalations, by having that repeat caller team. And our goal this year is to go for 2 calls in 10 days, and then eventually 1 call in, more than 1 call in 10 days. Just in the space we're at, most people need their medications in 5 days. And if they're calling us, think about the last time you called somebody 3 times, you're going to be pissed, right? So that's the way we're trying to go against our squeaky wheels or the issues that aren't working. And then we track all of that, and then we're changing the stuff upstream. What's generated that?
Excellent, thank you. Isn't that brilliant? Just, I mean, because it is very hard to do that if you try and go into your CRM and pull that data out. Really expensive. But just ask the question up front.